Hey, this is Josh with the US Coins Guide, and today we're talking about early branch mint Lincoln cents, and specifically one very important one, the 1914 Denver or 1914D Lincoln penny. Now, it's considered one of the big rarities in the Lincoln cent series. I've got a well-worn example right here, you can see, and it's maybe a good 6, good 4 somewhere in there, so it's really well-worn, but it is indeed a 1914D Lincoln penny. I want to talk about why this coin is important, why it's rare, how much it's worth, how you can maybe find one, and why you should keep an eye out in general for early branch mint Lincoln pennies. There's a reason why 1914D Lincoln penny and really all early branch mint Lincoln pennies, those from either Denver or San Francisco, are scarce. First of all, these coins were generally, not always, but generally made in smaller numbers than their Philadelphia counterparts. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The second thing to remember is that people didn't start to collect Lincoln pennies by year until the 1930s and 40s, and that's when the first coin boards and coin folders and coin albums were released. And that's what really instigated this push, this excitement to collect Lincoln pennies by both date and mint. Now, before then, there are really very few people who collected Lincoln cents in general, and those who did tended to focus on the Philadelphia issues, not those from Denver or San Francisco. So by the time that people were really collecting Lincoln cents en masse, by date Mintmark, these early branch mint coins were 20, 30, even 40 years old. So they had seen a lot of circulation and already had a lower mintage to begin with. In the case of 1914D, it wasn't really early on that people knew how rare this coin was. It was after years of coin folders and coin albums becoming popular that folks began to realize it was tough to find 1914D Lincoln pennies. It has a mintage of 1,193,000, so about 1.19 million, which is not like the 6-figure mintage of, say, the 1990s VDB Lincoln cent, or even the 1931S Lincoln penny, which is back here. But it does have a lower mintage. And it ended up being that this coin just became very tough to find. Now you see it's in a lower grade here. It says, I bought this years ago in a third-party holder. It was a good 6 in those days. Cracked it out. I'm not sure how it would grade today. You know, basically they grade the same. But at the end of the day, though, you look at these coins, 1914S, which is also a scarce date, 1913S, 1912S, 1911S, which is actually, I have on the funtimesguide.com, I've written at least 1 or 2 articles about this specific coin being kind of the 5th rarity in the regular issue series behind 1909 SVDB, 1909S, 1914D, in 1931S as far as regular issue non-variety Lincoln pennies. But in general, these early branch mint coins are scarce. And the 14D is the scarcest of all of these and one of the rarest in the entire Lincoln cent series. So we've talked about why it's rare. We've talked about the mintage. How do you find a 1914D Lincoln penny? Well, I bought this one. So I didn't have to go through years and years of looking through rolls and bags and pocket change to land it. Having said that, there are people who, believe it or not, have found 1914D Lincoln pennies in rolls and in bags. I wouldn't count on finding one if I were you, not that you can't, but they're just so rare to begin with as compared to the rest of the series that they already are like finding a needle in a haystack. But beyond that, I mean, talk about looking through, rolls and making a lucky find. It's very hard to find a coin like this in just a random, regular circulation roll. But, having said that, doesn't mean you shouldn't look yourself. In fact, I talk about looking through penny rolls on various videos here on the US Coins Guide. I recommend you check them out for some tips on how to make some good finds. As for value, I have been in this hobby now for over 30 years. This coin has always been expensive. It's been a rarity now recognized as a rarity for decades. Today's value roughly is $150 and up in a grade of good 4. And I feel safe giving you a value in this video because yes, values do change. But having said that, the value's not changed a whole lot in the last number of years. When I got involved in the hobby back in the early 1990s, it was a $100 coin. So if you look at the course of 30 plus years, the value's not gone up a whole lot. This is not a coin I would buy because you're trying to invest in rare coins and you want to make a quick dollar trying to flip it. I bought it because I wanted to finish my Lincoln Penny album. I love Lincoln Cents. I have since I was a kid. I wanted it because I wanted this coin in my collection. I wanted to fill that hole and claim one of the big rarities in the series. But let's talk about values here. So I am on HA.com. That is the website of Heritage Auctions. They currently have, over a quarter century of auction archives here from all their sales. It is HA.com. And I looked up 1914D Lincoln pennies. And looking at more recent transactions, you can see here, this is a valuable coin. Here's a nice, solid, professional coin grading service encapsulated 1914D in a grade of good 4. That's sold on March 4th, 2026 for $164.70. Not too bad. Here's one in XF40 over here, sold for $700 plus. AU over here, sold also in March of 2026 for $1,708. Again, AU 53. We have a damaged one here. Very good details. It sold for $207 in February 2026. So you get the idea. This is not a coin to sneeze at. Even in damaged condition, as we see here, it's worth a lot of money. And that's why I say if you have a 1914D and a grade of good, you're looking at a coin worth about $150, more or less. It's a matter of both the current market trends and also what that specific coin looks like as far as how well it's preserved. But as you can see, this is one valuable coin. And I say that just as I scroll by. Look at this one. 1914D in MS66 red. That's actually plus. So MS66 plus red. This has to be one of the very top ones right here as far as of all 1914D Lincoln. This has to be one of the very best ones out there. $128,000. That's a six-figure 1914D Lincoln penny. Again, this is a coin worth real cash money. So I'm telling you, keep an eye out for it in your pocket change, looking through rolls of pennies. If you can't land one that way, you can always buy one from a coin dealer. I talk about how to find a good coin dealer near you on the funtimesguide.com and US Coins Guide. Check the article out. Let me know in the comments below if you've happened to find a 1914D Lincoln cent either in circulation, pocket change, or maybe looking through rolls, or if you think you have a 1914D Lincoln penny. Put a picture up of the coin on one of the articles on US Coins Guide, funtimesguide.com. I'll be happy to look at the coin for you, give you some thoughts on what it might be worth. But again, this is what you're looking for right here. This is a 1914D Lincoln cent. So check that out. That's where is my pointer? Oh, there it is. There's a D mint mark under the date, 1914, the bust of Lincoln right there. I urge you to watch out for altered mint marks because some folks will take a 1914 Lincoln penny right here and add a D mint mark to it. Now, again, I bought this coin, as you might recall me saying earlier, I bought it in a third-party holder from a major reputable third-party coin grading service. I knew for a fact, based on the authenticity of the coin in a holder, this is the real McCoy. But if you're buying this coin raw, make sure you know what you're looking at. I recommend buying any 1914D Lincoln cent or any rare coin in general in a third-party holder from a reputable major service, okay? I say that not to get stern with you, but to protect you from buying an altered 1914D penny. It's actually pretty common, while I'm on the topic here, talking about authenticity and counterfeits and such, it's fairly common for some folks to take a 1944D Lincoln cent and just kind of scrape off the left side of that first 4 to give the impression of being a 1914D Lincoln penny. Again, this is a highly forged coin, so please, if you're going to buy one, make sure you know what you're buying. Buyer beware. Purchase your rare coins in third-party coin grading holders. Now, I've got to tell you, I work for a third-party grading company. And I say what I'm saying not because I work for one. I would have said this before I worked for a third-party grading company. I say it as a collector who's trying to protect other collectors, including yourself. Be very careful of what you're purchasing out there, but this is a real 1914D Lincoln penny. So again, that's the obverse, okay? We'll go ahead and we'll look at the reverse of the coin right here. Make sure you're looking at the right one because you can never quite tell sometimes when you're turning these pages around. This is the reverse of the real 1914D Lincoln penny, okay? So, 1914D Lincoln pennies are rare and valuable pennies worth a lot of money. It's because they were struck in small numbers to begin with. They were not saved in great quantities early on, and by the time people knew they were rare coins, they were mostly worn to oblivion, and those that survived were very few in number. So definitely a cool collector coin. And there you have it. That is all about 1914D Lincoln pennies. Again, this is a rare and valuable penny, which is important to know because, you know, first of all, it'll be hard to find one in circulation. Not that you can't find one, but if you really want one for your collection, I urge you to buy one from a coin dealer, but do so buying an example in a third-party holder from a major company to ensure authenticity. A lot of raw, so to speak, unholdered, ungraded examples sometimes turn up with alterations to the date and mint mark, thus rendering it basically a counterfeit or altered coin. You don't want that. So protect yourself. Spend a little more money, know what you're buying, buy from a reputable dealer, and buy from a reputable third-party grading company, an example that you know is the real McCoy. Drop me a line in the comments below if you're looking for a 1914D penny and want some more tips on how to find one. We have other videos here on US Coins Guide that talk about looking for and buying rare coins. We also have a bevy of articles on 1914D and other rare wheat cents on uscoinsguide.com and coins.thefuntimesguide.com. So please check those out. And if you like the video, give us a nice thumbs up. It helps a whole lot. Subscribe to our channel. But most of all, have fun collecting coins. So this has been Josh with the US Coins Guide, thanking you for your time and wishing you happy collecting.